The topic of this episode is a strange case where a young girl declares herself to be God. It may sound crazy or height of arrogance and even blasphemous in some of the majority religions. It is based on a hymn from ancient Indian Vedas. It is a very popular hymn in certain parts of India where devout people sing it on certain religious occasion. Often, the background of this strange declaration to godhood is missed, and the one who so declares becomes an object of high piety. She declares that she is God. In the previous episode, I was talking about some new way of relating to God as described in the ancient Indian Vedic hymn, namely the Purusha Sukta. I am using the word new because that way of relating to God is alien to most people of Abrahamic faith. At best, they can view it as pantheism or polytheism, which it is not, as I have explained in that episode. It is a way of seeing God in everything. As if that were not enough, in this episode, I am going to go further deep into the journey of relationship that one can have with God. That is the relation in which one identifies oneself with God, Tadatmya. Religions like Islam would abhor such an idea, which they consider as blasphemous. In Quran, Allah clearly forbids equating him with anything or with any other god, far less equating with some mortal human beings, not the least with oneself. Allah threatens with severe punishment if one indulges in such things. That is the only sin Allah never forgives. In Christian and Jewish faith, things are not that rigid, though equating God with anyone else is looked down. One of the reasons why Jesus was crucified was because he claimed himself to be God. It is a different matter though, Jesus probably never made that mistake. He never claimed himself to be God, not even as Son of God. Most of the time, he identified himself as Son of Man, and even when he addressed God as my Father, he was implying that God is the Father of everyone and all are his children. But it is interesting that old Aramaic language versions of Bible have an utterance Enana attributed to Jesus. Aramaic was the language spoken by Jesus. The Aramaic word Enana is interpreted as I am He, meaning I am God. This simple phrase is equivalent to the well-known Vedic saying Soham or Sa Aham, on which the entire Advaitic edifice rests. I have touched upon this interesting observation in my book Was Jesus Really in India? Declaring oneself as God or identifying oneself with God is neither forbidden nor uncommon in Indian context. I'm not talking about modern gurus who often do that for promoting their self-interest. I'm talking about a state where one starts identifying himself or herself with God as the ultimate and inseparable relationship with God, probably at the climax of one's spiritual journey. To quote a well-known and recent example, it is said that Ramakrishna Paramhamsa, the guru of Swami Vivekananda, often used to get into that mental state where he used to identify himself with God. During the process of adorning the idol of Kali, which Ramakrishna used to worship as a female form of God, Ramakrishna used to place the flowers on his own body since he felt no difference between himself and Kali. It was such an intimate identification. As I said, such identification with the divine is not barred in the Indian context. Many Indian scriptures do say that one who realizes God becomes God. Actually, there is nothing to become, since Indian scriptures consider everything to be a form taken by God. So, it is just a matter of realizing this ultimate truth. Well, I am aware of schools of thought, even within India, both ancient as well as modern, who, like the Abrahamic religions, abhor this kind of identity relation. But it is not a matter of just declaring oneself as God. Before one can do that, one needs to attain that high level of vision. That can happen after one passes through the stages of seeing God in everything and finally identifying oneself with God. In that state, there is hardly anyone left to say, I am God. The word I becomes superfluous. But we have our own limitations imposed by the language when we discuss such things. In this episode, I am talking about one such declaration by a young girl who belonged to the Vedic times, that is, thousands of years ago. Contrast this with our current scenario. Hardly a century ago, there were countries where women were second-class citizens. Even in democracy, there were times women did not have the right to vote. I'm sure that there are still places where such discriminations against the female gender continue. Even India had passed through periods where feminine occupied a lower rung in the society. But this girl lived almost 5,000 years ago. She had the audacity to declare that she is God, and probably she was not the only one in those days. This young girl's name was Vak. She was the daughter of an Vedic sage by name Ambrina. So she was Vakambrini, Vak, the daughter of Ambrina. This girl was a great devotee of the all-pervading God, God as described in the Vedas. She had passed through the stage of seeing God in everything. She was ready to get into the next stage of identifying herself with God. Her declaration of identification with God is recorded in the Rig Veda as one of the important hymns. More specifically, it is the 125th Sukta of the 10th Mandala of Rig Veda, comprising of 8 mantras. This Sukta is named after her as Vak Sukta. What does Vak say? She says, I am all the gods, Rudra, Vasu, Aditya, Vishwadeva, Mitra, Varuna, Indra, Agni, Ashwini, and so on. All these gods are within me, and they are no different from me. Aham Rudrebhi, Vasubhi, Aditye, Vishwadevai, Mitra, Varuna, Indra, Agni, Ashwina, Bhibharmi. She further says that it is me who bestows whatever is asked by the person who performs a fire ritual in the name of all these gods. Aham Havishmate Supravye Sunvate Yajamanaya Dravinam Dadami. In a state of ecstasy, she goes on to say, I am the Lord of the entire universe. I am the storehouse of all the wealth. I am the knower of all knowledge. I am the one who appears in many forms all over the world. I am also the one who resides in all the beings. Aham Rashtri Vasunam Sangamani Chikitushi Puristhatram Aham Bhuri Aveshayanti. She has more to say, and also with a note of caution. Whatever food that one eats comes from me, that is, I am the source of all nourishment. One's ability to see, hear, and even to survive by breathing is sheerly because of me. If someone ignores these facts, such a person is doomed to perish. Ya annam atti, ya praniti, ya vipashyati, ya shrunoti maya. Mam amantavaha te upakshiyanti. Does it sound like height of arrogance? But the word arrogance loses its meaning for someone who has dropped all association with her limited identity. She is no more Vak, sage Ambhrina's daughter, when she utters these words. She is the one who moves around freely like the air, supporting all the beings. She is the one who pervades beyond all worlds, all on her own forever. Vataiva Vishwa Bhuvanani Arabhamana Ahameva Pravami Divaparaha Ena Pratvyaparaha Mahina Etavati Sambhabhuva. Only those who have ever reached those heights can understand how she feels. But then, not just her, all of us can reach that height if only we can transgress our limited identity. That is the ultimate in devotion, to be one with the divine. Let me conclude this Vak Sukta with the traditional chanting.
अहं मित्रावरो नो भावे भर्म्यहमिन्द्राग्नि अहमश्विनो भा अहं सोमामाहनसं विभर्म्यहं त्वष्टारमुतपूषणं भगम् अहं दाधा मित्रवीणं भविष्माते सुप्राव्ये यजामानाय सुल्भते अहं राष्ट्री सङ्गमानि वसूनां चिकितुषी प्रथमा यज्ञियानाम् तां मा देवा व्याददुः पुरुत्रा भूरिस्थात्रां भूर्या वेशयन्ति मया सो अन्नामत्तियो विपश्याति यः प्राणीतियैः शृणोत्युक्तम् अमन्त ओमान्तमुपक्षियन्ति श्रुतिश्रोतश्रद्धिवन्ते वदामि अहमेव स्वयमिदं वादामि जुष्टम् देवेभिरुतमानुषेभिः यं कामयेतं तामुग्रं कृणोमि तं ब्रह्माणं तमृषिं तं सुमेधा अहं रुद्राय तनुरातानोमि ब्रह्मद्विशेषरावेहन्तबाहु अहं जनाय समदं कृणोम्यहं जावा पृथिवी आविवेश अहं सोमे पितरामस्य मूर्धन्मम योनिरप्स्वा अन्तः सामुद्रे ततो विदिष्टे भुवनानु विश्वोतामूढ्यां पश्मणोपस्पृशामि अहमेव वाताय वप्रवाम्यानभामाना भुवानानि विश्वा करोति वा पर एना पृथिव्यै तावाति महिना सम्बाभूव